Microneedling makeup into your face. They are not telling you the real cost of this treatment called the BB Glow Facial, both financially and the potential for mistakes to happen. This is not new. This has actually been going on for quite some time, but it's making a resurgence on TikTok, which is very concerning. This is the BB Glow Facial, and it's literally putting makeup on the face and then microneedling, basically tattooing foundation and blush and contour into the skin. Let's talk about how this is supposed to work, and then how it actually works, and the secrets that they're hiding from you about the true cost of this treatment. Tattooing is a largely unregulated industry. Of course, you can find some very talented and very hygienic tattoo artists, but you don't actually need a license to tattoo. Now, you don't need a license to microneedle either, depending on the depth of the needle. Although, if you've been on this channel for any amount of time, you know that my opinion is to go to a professional, a medical esthetician, a nurse practitioner, a dermatologist, a doctor, a plastic surgeon, someone who knows how to not get infections in your skin or provide keloid scarring, which could make everything worse. Well, this treatment is supposed to be an alternative for semi-permanent makeup. If we microneedle, or basically tattoo by creating channels of damage in the skin and filling those little needle holes with makeup, people don't have to wear makeup every day. And they call it the BB Glow Facial. Well, if you're a skintellectual, you can probably tell why this isn't a good idea. But as a medical esthetician who came across this trend on TikTok, I've seen this 5 years ago when I was in the industry and the problems it can cause. I'm like, okay, let's break down the science of what's going on here and why this might not be the best idea for some people. We also have to talk about the cost because it's $400, but they don't tell you how often you have to redo that. Now, this is different than microblading, which is like tattooing eyebrows onto the face, or even tattoo eyeliner or tattoo lip liner. This is very different. This is literally taking pigment and we are microneedling it into the skin. A lot of people think that this is done in professional settings because it kind of looks like it from a lot of the videos, but you can literally buy these kits on Amazon. And here's the problem. We don't actually know the ingredients in some of these products. They can be very questionable. And depending on where you're going, the practice or the place or the little spa might not even be using just pigment ones. They might be using forms of heavily pigmented makeup and just microneedling it into the skin. Now, let's talk about why this is a bad idea. Anytime we puncture the skin, whether it's falling down the stairs and scraping our knee, or it's deliberately putting needles in our skin like microneedling, we are creating a wound. The reason for doing that medically is because if we can get the skin to heal itself using its own natural abilities, that can help us increase collagen and elastin. But some people think, ooh, microneedling when done professionally is good. We want makeup in skin. Let's combine them and we'll use the microneedle channels to shove makeup into the skin. Remember that your skin is there to keep bad stuff out. And what happens when your skin identifies a random piece of pigment or fragrance or an ingredient that shouldn't exactly be there, that wasn't absorbed into the skin, like through the top layers of the skin or into your pore, like where the hair grows out of? No, we're creating a wound and then shoving that wound full of stuff. You can bet that the skin is not going to be too happy. One of the worst case scenarios is something called a granuloma. And when people think of granulomas, they think of rocks or like a particle getting stuck under the skin. That's not actually what happens. A granuloma is basically a cluster of your skin's natural immune cells. When your skin kind of feels this invader, it sends all of its immune cells to this one spot, and it does feel like a rock or a lump under the skin, but it's literally your body kind of trying to encapsulate this thing that is bad or damaging. And you can bet that in some cases there's lots of macrophages that like to eat. They're the big eaty ones, and they try to get rid of the bad stuff. And you can see that if we have pigment that is foreign to the human body, and if the human body identifies it as a threat, you can bet there's going to be an inflammatory response. On top of that, infection. There is such potential for infection here. And when we are introducing things such as pigment, colors, dyes, and fragrances into the skin that aren't supposed to be there, it can impede or stop or slow down the skin's natural healing process. So any benefit of microneedling or deliberate skin wounding is erased by the fact that we're putting crap in the skin. There are things such as vitamin C, hyaluronic acid, and ceramides that can be beneficial for wound healing, but there have even been instances of these granulomas forming with microneedling and vitamin C use. So it's so important that this is done correctly. And of course, sanitary issues. If you have a dirty needle, can you imagine the infection that can happen? Worst case scenario is sepsis or bacteremia. It's basically an infection of the blood, and the blood goes everywhere in the body very, very quickly, and it can be very deadly. I've had sepsis, basically meningitis that turned into sepsis, and thankfully I knew the warning signs. I was able to keep my limbs. I was able to catch it early with the stiff neck, and we did a lumbar puncture to find that out. But there are some people who are not so lucky who have gotten sepsis. And yes, it can happen from puncturing needles into the skin that are unclean, hitting one of the main veins inside of the face that circulates blood back into the heart and then the rest of the body. And that infection can spread very, very quickly. And on top of that, keloid scarring. Whenever we're damaging the skin for certain individuals who are prone to keloid scars, their face can literally basically reject that foreign invader and come up with a large knotted scar that is hypertrophic. It basically stands up and out of the skin. And that can be extraordinarily damaging for some people. But these BB Glow facials are literally either taking these kits from Amazon or taking random makeup, you don't even know what it is, and shoving it into the skin. Now, when you actually look at some of the reviews from people who have had this done, a lot of people say that it wasn't worth it. It doesn't really stick around. And here's what they don't tell you. You have to get it redone every 2 weeks. Yeah, every 2 weeks. And mind you, what does this cost? $400 every 2 weeks? You've got to be kidding me. Now, there are some places that will sell packages and they say, oh, you won't see results unless you do a package of 6, right? And then once you do it for 6, then you can like extend it to every 3 weeks or something like that. This is such an expensive treatment and the results don't always look good or even. If you've ever gone out in the sun without sunscreen, you know that the sun does not discriminate, but it doesn't burn or tan you evenly. Sometimes it'll get the backs of your calves or the shoulder, but then the middle of your back has nothing on it, right? Well, you can bet that the way the skin reacts to this foreign pigment and this needle being shoved into it, it's not gonna hold onto the pigment evenly. Just the way our skin can get patchy and our makeup application can get patchy, you bet that shoving makeup into our skin with microneedles can end up patchy. The skin heals at different rates. We also tend to have more oil glands and more hyperactive oil glands in like the nose, sometimes the chin and the forehead area, otherwise known as the T-zone. And you can bet that that has an impact on how much this pigment does or doesn't stay on or in the skin. A lot of people are not satisfied with their results, and I think that's why it was a trend 5 years ago that faded, because nobody did it. But now, because of TikTok, everyone's seeing it. I mean, look at this. It looks dramatic when it's being done, and people say, you know what, I want to try this for a big event or something fun. They give it a go, and some people end up with okay results for 2 weeks, but other people end up absolutely destroying their skin. They're not telling you the real truth about the dangers or about the cost and how you have to keep up with this and how your body might reject it. And I want to know, like, do you actually see a difference? Look at people who got this done. Their skin looks a little bit red after, as you would expect, and then are they really that much more glowy over time? If you want to spend $400 on this every 2 weeks, 800 freaking bucks a month, be my guest and actually please report back. If I'm wrong or if someone had a great experience, I do want to hear about it. But if you don't want to spend that kind of money, or if you don't want to subject your skin or your body to this, there are alternatives. And the first one, and my favorite that you can do instead, is self-tanner. Why are we microneedling pigment and contour into our skin when you can literally take a really good self-tanning liquid on a makeup brush and literally do your contour as normal? Over 3 days, this self-tanner will darken and it gives you a natural contour that you don't even have to touch up. Of course, if you don't touch it up for a long period of time, it will fade just the way the BB Glow facial does. But a self-tanner is less expensive. You get to control where it goes and you're not microneedling it into the skin. And arguably, some of these self-tanners last longer than 2 weeks. Here are a couple that are cruelty-free that work really well that I absolutely love. And literally, I would recommend getting 2 brushes. One of them is like for the face and for the cheeks, like an angle brush. And then one is a precision brush for areas like the nose. Make sure that you've practiced with like a regular cream contour or powder contour first so that you know what placement you want. But then literally use this. And I would recommend getting one that you apply about 3 times. That way it's gradual and it looks natural. If you get one of like the overnight developers and you know, put it on, it can kind of look like streaks on your face. So get one that kind of develops over like 3 applications. Less expensive, lasts longer, no major risk of infection. How about it? And for the cheeks, you can literally use a cheek stain. There are some blushes that come off with water, but there are some things that stain your skin. If you've ever used a lip stain that literally stains your mouth, you know what I'm talking about. Well, you can bet that that works for the cheeks as well. These you will have to reapply like every 2 or 3 days, but this is a really great option. And if you just kind of do this, and if you just kind of put some on your fingertips or on a sponge and apply it just to that cheek area or the nose or wherever you want that pink flush, you can get the look of this red, cheeky, rosy blush without having to microneedle it into your face. What a concept! Now, when it comes to the actual foundation portion, a lot of these BB Glow facials claim that they give you like the look of a BB cream, like they cover up your imperfections, but they don't. Maybe they're giving you a little bit of a glow, but look, they're not covering blemishes. They're not covering scars or texture or redness. None of that's happening. If you really want something that's going to give you a BB cream look, get a BB cream or get a sunscreen that's tinted that acts like a BB cream. It'll give you a glow, it'll make you look good, and guess what? The sunscreen could actually help to smooth out the look of scars and cover redness from blemishes and uneven skin tone more than the BB glow thing does. Like when you look at the BB glow, they claim that it does all this stuff, but then when you actually look at the afters, you tell me, but what I see is that there's still blemishes and texture showing through. If we put a layer on the skin, like sunscreen, which we should be using every day, that literally helps to block out those pores, those textures, and even those little discoloration areas more. Literally, if somebody's done this, can you please tell me? Because when I look at this, it just spells disaster. This has been a trend before. It has caused problems, which is why it stopped being a trend, thanks to TikTok and the cesspool that has become the unhinged side of social media and skincare. It has made a resurgence, and I think it's also testament to what goes viral isn't necessarily valuable. I mean, look at this. It's dramatic. It's shocking. You can't look away. But that doesn't mean that it's good just because it is something that captures your attention. So please be a critic and a skeptic. And if you want to learn how to understand both the anatomy of your skin, skincare products, and how to make healthy decisions for yourself based on science, that's what we talk about here on this channel. You can literally subscribe if you want to, and if you don't, no harm done. I want to hear someone's comments too. Like, please tell me if you've done this, what your experience was. I am always open to alternate opinions, and I do want the best anecdotal feedback I can get, so we can compile it all together. But yeah, check the comments, let me know what you think. Stay hydrated, reapply that SPF, and I cannot wait to see you in this next video. Love you guys. Bye.